What's up, traders? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened with the S&P 500, why the VIX may be giving us some hints, and I'm going to look at the Mag 7, and then I'm going to talk about what we did in Delta Strike and what I think is coming up next. So let's dig in. All right, everybody, here we are. And what did I say in our last session, my last video? I said the market is pricing in Thursday's action like it was a binary event. And we got that binary event. And I said we're going to open up down big tomorrow. And they're still pricing for a lot of movement on Friday. And if you look, they still are. So I know it's hard to see, but for tomorrow, they're pricing an implied volatility. They're pricing option prices like at a 40. And then on Monday, they're pricing it a little under 28. So they're looking for one more big day of action. For instance, for tomorrow, they're currently pricing in about $90 of movement. So they're looking for one more day of big movement and then for things to calm down. And what do I mean by that? Well, they're pricing in $90 for Friday's move. And then for Monday's move, they're pricing in about $125. So they're only pricing in like an extra $35 into Monday. So that's where that big drop off comes in. If the volatilities were a lot more similar, Monday's price movement would be more like 150. So they are telling us they expect this event to end Friday. And now, can we see anything else in that? And the answer is yes. I want to look at the VIX. Now, the VIX is our best gauge of overall market prices. The S&P 500 is down 5%. The Q's more than 5%. The Dow down 4%. The VIX closes 30 on the nose. Barely over the highs from March 10th and 11th. But remember, where was the S&P 500 on March 10th and 11th? On March 11th, the S&P closed 55.72. We are 175 points lower. And we're at what amounts to the same option price level. So what does that tell me? That tells me that traders aren't panicking. That tells me traders aren't panicking. So what am I going to do with this knowledge? Well, tomorrow in Delta Strike, I'm going to be explaining three things. One, I'm going to tell everyone there that's live when the bottom's in. I'm going to pick a long-term trade, a trade that I think could make 500%, might only make 50 or 100, but it's a trade that I think could make 500%. That is trades out past June. I'm going to give you a stock I think is oversold, and I'm going to trade it off of big money flow. I'm going to let the hedge funds and banks tell me which of my stocks that I think are way oversold, that it's time to go long in, time to buy. And I'm going to give you a stock that I think still has more downside. And I'm going to potentially trade that off of big money flow. So what are you doing and how are you approaching this market? Friday morning is key. we have non-farm payrolls, and we've got the follow-through from Thursday's bloodbath. Friday morning, we're probably going to open down. From there, that's the key. If we start getting a little bit of a bid, that could be a bottom. But what if we don't get a bid? What does that mean for going forward? I'm going to, again, explain all of that in Delta Strike, but I want you to tomorrow, on Friday, to be watching how does VIX move relative to what kind of sell-off do we get Friday morning. If the VIX is anemic, the VIX doesn't explode, and the market's down big, the market is trying to find a bottom. If not, well, you've got to be at Delta Strike to learn, plus to learn my long-term trade and my big money flow trade idea. But for now, what I will tell you is that Thursday, for how ugly it was, there was no panic. And that, to me, and to you, should be a sign of what the market is trying to tell you, the retail trader. All right, everybody. Once again, I would love to see you in Delta Strike. In my 2 free sessions so far, I've done one trade that made 340%. Join me live. Click the link in this email. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I'm Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a good one.